What is up, everyone? It's Ryan and Ryan Gallagher here on R&R Talking Football. Tonight we have got a Super Bowl 56 preview. Excited for the big game. It's 2 days away now. And we'll also just quickly give a synopsis on how championship weekend went. Another fantastic set of games that, were both decided at the wire. So excited to get this one going tonight, Ryan.
Yeah, pumped up. One of these teams I don't think anybody probably had making the playoffs, and now they're in the Super Bowl. So just the classic underdog story, and just the way the playoffs has been really since the divisional round. The way these games have been going, I think we're set up for another nail biter. Hopefully, another one that comes down to the final minute or two.
I'm with you. I think it's going to be another game that's decided by about a field goal at the end. You said it best with the Bengals. Just what an awesome special year that they've had. Another big win on the road. Big comeback. Joe Burrow just continues to show how special of a player he is. To be down as big as they were, to rally like they did before the half in that game, and just play as well as they did in the second half. Defensively, especially. I mean, you definitely got to feel good about them. And the Rams, to be honest, I had the Rams against the Bills coming into the season, so I guess I was relatively close. And it's not a surprise that they're in this game. Matthew Stafford, the trade was absolutely worth it. What an awesome game between them and the 49ers yet again. Looked like the 49ers had it there. And I mean, just the way that Stafford, Cooper Cup, Odell, I mean, the way that they stuck with it, continued to make plays, and that D line at the end, it should be a really fun Super Bowl 56.
Yeah, it seemed like we were looking based on how the games are going. We seem destined for rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years
Right.
ago, and then both teams end up losing, which has been kind of the story of especially the Bengals. Man, they've been hanging on in these games like where it doesn't look that good early on, but then they find ways to really hang in there and get back in the game with big momentum plays, and it's what their defense did. I feel like stopping Tyreek at the end of the first half was obviously the game changer because I think if he scores at that point, I think it's really over. The Chiefs really dominated the first half. I thought they were going to blow them out. They were blowing them out. And then, the Bengals made adjustments and, credit to them, credit to their defense for making plays. And, they definitely deserve a lot of credit, just the turnaround in general. I will say, as good as their defense played, I do lean on the side of Mahomes just having a meltdown for whatever reason. And it's not all on him because the defense also caved in. But the fact that he had about I think 60 yards passing in the second half, it just wasn't enough, obviously. And when you have the firepower like the Bengals and the momentum that they were carrying since the beginning of the third, it was all going Bengals. And but it's exciting. I mean, I wanted the Bengals to win, on our last episode, even though I picked the Chiefs. So, but I'm not going to complain. Incredible game. And then moving on, like you said, the Niners really thought they had it, up 10 in the fourth quarter. But Matt Stafford just hung in there and made some big time throws. Beckham was such a big addition, especially once Woods went down. Like he's one of the main reasons they're even here. Besides Cooper Cup, obviously, who's lighting it up every single week, one Offensive Player of the Year. One MVP vote. No one expected him to win, but we still got one in there. So we'll see if he tops it off with a Super Bowl ring, this week. I think I'm gonna pick the Rams. I don't know by a score because I do think that I think it might be a little bit like the Bengals and Chiefs to start. Maybe not that bad. Where I think the Rams kind of come out, all guns blazing and playing well. I don't want them to like let up like the Chiefs did, but the game's in LA. I think the Rams are the better football team. But we said that a lot with teams going up against the Bengals, which is why I don't want to. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout like maybe it could be, or maybe when you look at the paper, like look at these teams on paper. I think the Rams just match up really well against the Bengals. You know the Rams defensive line with Aaron Donald, Von Miller. They got Sebastian. What's his name?
Joseph.
Yeah, they got him back off IR. They're all playing well. So I think that's a big mismatch. And if they don't take care of Aaron Donald, he could legitimately win MVP, Super Bowl MVP, if it's that kind of performance. And it could be like he's that kind of player. And I think it's important to note that the Rams were here 2 years ago. Obviously, not every single player, but a couple of these guys in the roster, not Stafford, but Cup actually didn't even play in the last playoffs. But Aaron Donald, I feel like there'll be a message. They have the experience. It's a big week here. You could tell by the media. So I feel like that kind of goes into it. And this talks a little bit about McVay. Maybe we'll talk about this after the matchup, but possibly McVay retiring. Like there's been talk, a little bit speculation about that, which is like kind of crazy considering his age. But let's go into the matchup first, and we can end on possibly McVay walking off with the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did, after I think all those upsets in the divisional round, we did go 1-1. We were right with the Rams, which was not looking good, and then we once again, I can't believe 2 straight weeks I've gone against the Bengals, which is why it's so hard to go against in this
Yeah,
game. Like I just feel terrible, and I think they have a good chance. I really do. I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. If CJ Uzama is good to go, like as good as the Rams D line is, you alluded to it with Donald, Bond, Leonard Floyd, and they should honestly be successful in this game against the Bengals online. But I still think that the Bengals firepower can make things happen. Outside of Jalen Ramsey and the way that David Long has played, like I feel like the rest of the Rams back seven is a bit of an unknown that the Bengals can exploit. Um, and of course, there's a ton of familiarity between Sean McVay and Zach Taylor. And then you flip it around to the other side of things. I think, Stafford, Cup, Odell, you just can expect them to continue, how great they've been as of late. It looks like Darrell Henderson's going to be back for this game, which is, big for the Rams. They had that three-headed monster there with Cam Akers, the way Sony Michel, gave him some contributions down the stretch. If Tyler Higbee is, even decent, from a health standpoint for the game.
out.
Oh, they ruled him out. I didn't even notice that.
They put him on IR or something.
Okay, I didn't see that. So that is a fairly significant loss, I would say. And then also just opportunities for Van Jefferson once again when he gets him, especially with that Higbee. They'll need someone else in the passing game to contribute. But the Bengals defense, like they play as a team, they got a ton of guys. Led up front by four really good players: and Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, Sam Hubbard, BJ Hill. And then in the back seven with Jesse Bates, Logan Molson, Mike Hilton, Chidobe Awuzie. I mean, it's really been such a improved unit this year for them, and like I expect them to compete in this game against a good Rams offense.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. Like it's so hard picking against the Bengals just because of what they've overcome and how they played. Honestly, toward this in the second half of these games, they just kind of they find ways to stay in and they just kind of take advantage of these big momentum plays. And I mean, are you picking the Rams? I don't think you.
I'm picking the Rams to win by a field goal at the end.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Rams by 10. Yeah, that might be crazy, and but I just feel like it's destined, and you could say that for the Bengals too because of their incredible run, but everything that the Rams have just like it's in their home, obviously. But besides that, like they've also had kind of a magical run, which I guess has been a little bit swept under the rug because of the Bengals coming out of nowhere. But like the Rams story is pretty incredible too, Like if you told anybody in week 18 before the playoffs started that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, I don't think anybody would have believed you just based on how they were playing. And then obviously they had to go, they beat the Cardinals. And then, but, even going to Tampa and winning that game, even though Tampa was banged up, that took a lot. And then beating the Niners, where McVay hasn't won in 3 years, and then coming back 10 points in the fourth quarter, just crazy, absolutely crazy. And I hope we get a good game. That's all I'll say. I don't want it to be a blowout either way. I honestly like both teams, so I don't really mind who wins. It's a cool story, whether it's Stafford or Burrow, which is awesome. Someone new winning it, and I just hope we get, like you said, I'd rather a field goal game than the 10-point game than I predicted. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I will. It's definitely intriguing. Like, will Evan McPherson once again be a difference
yeah,
maker for the Bengals if it does come down to the end? You also said I feel like the Rams just really McVay getting that experience in Super Bowl 53 a couple years back. Certainly, should help him in this game in a big way. And you really alluded to it, man. The NFL season is so long. The Rams have definitely hit their stride at the right time. They're getting some guys back healthy for this game, and it does just feel like it's kind of their time, to me at least.
yeah. I mean, I think the Rams are 3-point favorites. Not that that matters all the time. Super Bowl has like wacky scores and wacky outcomes all the time, but I do think that's right. And maybe three's being even a little bit generous to the Bengals, like because it is tough to they had a week off now, basically 2 weeks. So I do wonder how the Bengals almost open up in this game because obviously they've been slow to start in other games, so maybe it wouldn't be a worry. But Super Bowl is a different stage, and like I'm not saying every like I think Burrow has the experience just from like the national championship, the kind of quarterback he is, but it is a team game, so I wonder if the lights are too bright a little bit for the Bengals as a whole, especially their defense. That's the key for me in this game. Like if the Bengals have a chance to win this game, it's not just stopping Cooper Cup. I know they did very very well against the Titans, but I do wonder how they will be. I feel like the Rams are going to have a good day running the football, whether that's Cam Akers, Michelle, or Henderson. I feel like that's going to be the key in winning this game. Obviously, Higbee's a pretty big loss, so but just the way Beckham's playing too, even if Cooper Cup, if Mike Hilton does do pretty well on him, which I'm expecting him to do better than basically every other corner has done against him this playoffs and most of the season. But at the same time, I'm very confident the way Beckham's playing. He'll make a play or two if needed. Probably make 6 to 7 catches again. And you alluded to it. I think Van Jefferson needs to have at least one big moment in this game, like whether it's a deep ball, just one big like significant moment. So
Yeah,
either way,
so
I hope it's as close and everyone obviously enjoy the game.
oh, 100%. Hopefully everyone enjoys the game. I'll be happy either way. I like both teams. You said it best. Taylor and Burrow, McVay and Stafford. To me, all deserving of it. So hopefully it just goes down to the wire.
All right, so let's touch a little bit on. I mean, I didn't really expect to be talking about this, but obviously Schefter tweeted out. A couple other guys on ESPN now are kind of retweeting it. Just like a local story, I guess. When it started, they said it started off as like kind of a joke question, but McVay kind of maybe walking off into a sunset with the Super Bowl ring.
I mean, it's funny this is a talking point because I remember when he was hired and he was so young, and it was
Yeah.
like, will the hours of being an NFL head coach like really get to this guy? And I feel like there were times where he didn't even like shy away from the fact that he was just burnt out. And I don't know if you remember after the 2019 season when that was the one year they missed the playoffs, and he actually when the ESPN Monday Night booth had an opening, like he almost took that gig then 2 years ago. So it's to me, it doesn't come as a complete surprise. I remember when that was floated around out there and he ended up staying with the Rams, like he was saying he wasn't even sure how long he would do it for. And then I think when you just look at the Stafford trade, like it kind of does make sense if McVay does end up, walking out after, winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that like I obviously it's a great story if he walked off with a Super Bowl ring, but McVay had. I mean, he still has a chance to end up as like a legendary coach. I'm not saying I don't think he's there yet, but like what he's done in his career is like on track to do that. Win a Super Bowl, that obviously matters a ton for coaches and quarterbacks. But to walk away while he's one of the most marketable coaches too, other than like just kind of like the ones that people know besides like Belichick and Mike Tomlin. I feel like he's kind of that third or fourth guy, maybe John Harbaugh, but like he's just one of those marketable, you know, top 5 or 6 coaches that everyone kind of knows. Like he's the guy in LA now, obviously. He's kind of the one that turned the Rams around for the last couple seasons. And now, I mean, it would be cool to walk off like that. But I just think it's kind of the person he is. I mean, you kind of alluded to it, like burnt out. Like you can tell, like just how much detail he puts into it, how much like work he puts into it. Like he can remember all the plays in his head from like 2019, like what the outcome of the plays, which is crazy. So like he's a different kind of guy, and everyone's different. Like he talked a lot about like I think family time and stuff. So Brady was a little bit similar to that. Obviously, he didn't coach for 20 years, but everyone's in like a different point of their life, and I'd be happy for him if he walked off. And I don't think Rams fans would mind that much because
He won it.
one Super Bowl appearance, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and hopefully if he walks off, he'll have a ring with him.
Absolutely. I love McVay, regardless of what happens. I mean, I remember when they hired him, I was all for it, despite how young he was at the time. He was 30. You look from the jump. I mean, he was able to do that first year with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. That 18 season, how special an offense they had. It's a shame that Super Bowl went the way it did for him. And just like to bounce back from that Super Bowl like they've had 5 winning seasons all the years he's been there. 4 playoff appearances, 3 division titles, now 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
To me, he is special, and you said it best. I mean, he probably got into it at like 22 years old. I think is when he was hired by the Bucks, and it probably does wear on you, man. It gets to a point where you just burnt out, and I get it. If you win that Super Bowl, it all changes. So
Yeah, man, and he most likely will still have a career as like a broadcaster because he's an incredible speaker. But selfishly, I hope he doesn't retire because I feel like we haven't even hit the peak of the Shanahan McVay rivalry, which is like turning into one of those matchups where even as us as Jet fans, like I'm just always trying to watch those two matchups a year, and then obviously three this year. But like that reminds me so much of us growing up and watching those like San Fran teams versus the Seahawks. Like that was kind of the big rivalry, like in like high school years. So like that's what it obviously the Niners were hurt last year, so we didn't get that crazy matchup. But I feel like the last 2 out of 3 years we've gotten some really cool matchups and just like special teams.
100%. I mean, and the fact that they were both hired the same year in
Yeah.
that division as well. I mean, from the first game, everyone was really, most of them at least, were really competitive. Went down to the wire, and they do so many things that are similar, like just who they are as people. Like I said, they're very marketable, likable people, and they just run fun offenses. That's the truth to it. The
Mhm.
schemes, the philosophies, and just the players that they have, they are exceptional with. So I guess time will tell.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't think it'll happen right after the Super Bowl, no matter what. But that's one of those things. I guess you gotta keep an eye on the week after, 2 weeks after. I'm sure something will come out. But selfishly, well, if they win, obviously I hope he stays. But I think before we end it here, like you mentioned the Stafford thing, and that's probably the truth. I mean, I think they probably obviously had this year as the window. I think they have next year as well. Just then after that, it gets a little bit tricky with the cap. I mean, they found ways around it before, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to. And especially because they made it this year. You feel like if they didn't win it at this point, because I think they would have taken the Bengals. Like even if they asked between the Bengals and Chiefs, I think they would have taken the Bengals. Or they're probably lucky the Bills didn't get here. Honestly, you mentioned the Bills. I picked the Packers and Bills. I think before the playoffs. So
I
wrong there,
did.
but that would have been an incredible matchup. But I'm happy it's these two teams. Honestly.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's going to be a great game. So hopefully, a fun night for everyone.
So, all right, so we'll end it here. Thank you guys for joining us. Over upcoming this week, we'll have another mock draft 2.0, kind of the risers. See some Senior Bowl, I think, players. A couple that weren't in our mock in the 1.0 be there, and obviously we have some. I think we have quarterbacks rising a little bit. I think we only had 2 or 3 last time. Hopefully, try to find a way to put 4 in there. And other than that, thank you guys again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.